All right, we're all ready for you.
Hi, are you waiting for me to start?
I think it's waiting for me, right, Alex?
Oh, okay.
That is correct, Vice Mayor. You're up.
All right, well, I call this inaugural meeting of the Workforce Readiness and Economic Vitality Committee to order. Due to concerns over exposure to the coronavirus, the city has implemented a measure to protect our community, including the closing of council chambers and limiting public attendance to electronic means only. Members of the public may attend the meeting virtually through Cisco WebEx events, or the meeting is recorded by visiting www.tempe.gov/WREV for more information. So we'll do a roll call. I don't think we need to do a roll call, do we, Robin? We're good? We know everyone's here.
I think we're good.
Okay, we'll review meetings for the previous minute. And there was the previous meeting's minutes. There wasn't a previous meeting, so we don't have any minutes to approve. And Robin, you're up.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Let's see. The next item on our agenda is the public comment. And Alex, I will ask if we received any public comments. And
No
so
public
everybody knows. Go ahead.
No public comment cards were submitted.
Okay, gotcha. And just so you know that the committee, of course, welcomes public comment, and just for future reference as we move forward, we hope that we will engage more stakeholders and have public comment before each meeting. And just remember, you're going to be limited to about 3 minutes per person. So, and then there's always an opportunity to submit comment cards. Over to you, Randy.
Thank you,
Vice
Councilmember.
Mayor, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Actually, I think it's your item that's coming up first here.
Oh, okay, got it. Well, thank you, Vice Mayor. I think, yeah, absolutely. I think our very first item, and I want to say thank you so much to our downtown, the Downtown Authority for being on our very first, not only our very first meeting, but our actually very first agenda item. So I cannot think of anybody better to be here than Julie, Kent, and Travis. Thank you guys so very much. Just to give you a little background and not to steal any of Julie's thunder, you know, we were super excited that Julie brought this forward, this opportunity of something I believe is just really cool, unique, and a great fit, a lot of synergy with the city of Tempe and the things that we're doing for our veterans community, not only to celebrate those veterans, but also those in the military. And I think just to recognize and appreciate their service. So Julie has an awesome story of where she learned about this really cool program, the Military Banner Program, from her hometown. So I want Julie and Travis to kind of share their story. Julie, a little bit about, you know, maybe how it impacted you and your family, and the possibility of bringing it to Tempe. So hopefully I didn't steal any of your thunder, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you guys.
Hi. Yes, thank you for that lovely introduction. Yeah, so Travis and I work together. Travis is actually an Army veteran, so it's great to have him helping us out here. But I found out about it because I'm from upstate New York, and my father and his brothers were all in World War II. And my cousins have stumbled upon this program in the town where they grew up, this Military Banner Program. So we got one for my dad and my uncles, and she sent me the photo, and it was just so impactful for me, so emotional, because my father's been gone for over 20 years, and just to see his name up there and see his face meant like, hey, you know, he was a person and he's there. So it's just really meant a lot to our family. And after the program is over, we get to keep the banner. So such a great investment, and just thought that with everything that Tempe does for veterans, that it would be a perfect fit here. Our organization manages the downtown banners, which is consists about 149 of them. So we thought, why not start it here and then see if it can expand? It makes sense to partner with the city of Tempe because it just, yeah, like I said, it just makes sense in the way we want to honor veterans. So We got a sample banner here, which we did test, and it does fit. So the specs are right. We're ready to go as far as, the next step in the process. So this is Jim Grown. He is the gentleman that has run the Veterans Day Parade for I don't know how many years, Robin, a lot. And so we wanted to do a sample banner with him on it. So this is what it would look like, the front and the back. And so from here, we just want to sort of make sure everyone is on board and see if there's anything we need to consider. And we would run the program through military tribute banners. We would be the fiscal pass-through, and they really do most of the heavy lifting as far as working with family members or what they call sponsors or business sponsors. They're the ones that, submit the photo and give the information, and then they make sure that the photo is good and fits the format, and then we process the payment and hang them up, and yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the program. Cities run it differently and depending on, some run it May through Veterans Day. We wanted to start with Veterans Day because it's far enough out that we could get it organized, and then go from there and see what, it's kind of hard to know what the demand will be. So we've met with the Veterans Commission of Tempe as well, and hopefully they can spread the word. And can you think of anything else?
Julie, I think you did an awesome job. And I don't know if you can, I know you sent Tim a photo.
I did.
Which he did share with me. And I don't know if you're able to share it on your screen, but while you work on that, I'm going to just take a second and kind of just remind everybody about what we're doing when it comes to our Veterans Initiative in the city of Tempe. And back in 2015, we actually became the very first veteran supportive city in the state of Arizona. And what that did was, we had to make some benchmarks. We had to reach some benchmarks and some things in regards to what we do for our veteran community, what we do for our veterans employers, and what we do to celebrate and to appreciate our veterans. And we've been able to do so many really remarkable things, and all within partnerships of different things that we do. Tonight, for an example, we're doing community salutes, which is a very cool program. So we're super excited about that. We worked on housing with Valor on 8th. We also have a veterans court, which is pretty phenomenal, and a lot of people have the ability to go through the veterans court and reduce whatever might be on their record, but actually get the services that they need. We have veterans case managers specific to Care 7, so very, very super cool. And we also have a veterans resource website and a great partnership with Rio Salado Military and Veteran Success Center, where our residents can go. And when we took this to the Veterans Commission, they were pretty stoked and excited, because this is something that I think will be visible, and it can be visible for 30 to 45 days. And we can really just show tribute to not only the ability for our veterans, but I think for the families to show how much they care and appreciate. And hearing Julie's story was really cool. So here is an awesome photo of our sample banner that Julie and their team put up in the downtown area, and just super cool for. I can't hear. Shoot. That we're doing. And I think one of the things that, we would hope to walk away with today, and Julie and Travis, correct me if I'm wrong, is we just really want to affirm the partnership with the city of Tempe.
I think it's her.
Councilmember Robert Giordano Savage, you're kind of breaking up. We're not hearing exactly what you are trying to convey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me? I hate to have to say that.
Yes.
Yes, yes. council member.
Okay, cool. Well, anyway, I'll wrap it up really quick then with, I think, moving forward, what we want to do, and Julie and Travis, correct me if I'm wrong, is just what's that?
Oh, I can't hear you.
Okay. Hey, Tim, can you help me out if they can't hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you now.
Oh,
I can hear you.
Okay.
You
All
cut
right.
in and
Well,
out.
I think what we want to do just moving forward is we really just want to affirm the partnership with the DTA. And one of the things that we talked about was really being able to alleviate some of the cost and expenses and realize it's kind of like a cost neutral program, but we are going to need some dollars moving forward. And I think that, with the great partnerships and the collaborations, we can get through this year. But what we would like to do is take it back to the whole council, Vice Mayor and the rest of the stakeholders that are on here today, to just say, hey, this is a great partnership, a great opportunity to really celebrate and recognize our veterans within our community. But also what we would like to do is down the road, maybe next year, is just put a small little financial line item in the budget, ask for that to go through the supplemental process, anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000, to just help with the cost so it doesn't cost so much for our families to buy a banner. And then that way we can get everybody the opportunity. We offset that cost just a little bit. And, to me, I think it's kind of, you put your money where your mouth is, and something that we believe in with our veterans, and really just enhance our veteran supportive designation, and also being a veteran supportive employer in the city of Tempe. So, that's kind of where we're at. Vice Mayor, I don't know if you have any questions or if there's anybody else on the line that has any thoughts. We're open.
Councilmember Redondo Savage. Yeah, I don't have any questions. You pretty much said what was to be said. I just really appreciate DTA putting this together and bringing it to us, and I'm sure the rest of the council will be supportive, and I'm looking forward to seeing Tempe honor its veterans all over the city come Veterans Day. So thanks again.
Cool. All right, Julie, Travis, come on. You have anything you want to add? Come on, Army veteran to another Army veteran. Come on.
Hey,
I just
I have a question.
okay. What happened?
Hey, go ahead, Travis.
I'm sorry, who's going?
Let's go with Tim. Tim, go ahead and say your question.
Hey, Julie and Travis, can you tell us what the current layout proposal is? And is there anything that Tempe staff need to do to clear the way, like community services? If I recall, the plan now is to put these in the downtown area, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we manage 149 banners in downtown. So that goes between Farmer and College and University to the Lake. So that's our geography.
Great, thank you.
Cool. All right, Travis, wrap it up. What do you got?
Well, the appreciation is great with that, and I also used to work in Mesa. I actually opened the Mesa Veterans Resource Center a couple years back, and I saw them doing a similar thing in Mesa, and for Tempe to do this now, it's great to actually honor ones who served and for their families who no longer have them with them. So it's a good visual aid for people walking past for that recognition for it. So it's a great project.
Well, we're excited about it, Julie. Thanks for taking the time. And I think our next steps will just to kind of put together that proposal and put in some of those finishing touches, was what it means with us and special events, and kind of the cost of the banner, and moving forward, maybe in the next year, if we can help get some financial expenses to offset the cost, what it would mean to our families to be able to put up a banner. But to be able to put up 149 personalized banners for our veterans is pretty dang phenomenal. So I look forward to it, and we'll work together to finalize the proposal to the council.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Cool. You guys are great.
Okay.
All right, Vice Mayor, thank you so much. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, Vice Mayor, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. See here. Excuse me. Our next item under section 4 is the Tempe Works program. For those in the public who do not know, I brought this idea to council in 2017, along with council members Robin Arredondo Savage and Councilmember Navarro. And I led that working group. Tempe Works is an innovative program that combines city employment, housing, and social services to assist those experiencing homelessness. This program has been operating for a couple of years now, and I'd like to call on Human Services to provide an update.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Keating and Councilmember Arredondo Savage for the ability to speak on Tempe Works. We are happy to have the opportunity this afternoon to speak on this project, which you all brought forward and supported extensively to make it what it is today and to support it as it moves forward. The purpose this afternoon is to connect Tempe Works to our City Council priorities, to show how this is advancing our work towards ending homelessness, to provide a definition to those who may not know what Tempe Works is, what is it intended to do, speak on our partnerships, because this is one of those systems in which there are multiple hands needed to help lift and move things forward. And also to talk a little bit about how it compares to other programs that are out there. Day labor programs have been in place in other areas of this nation. And so we looked at those as an opportunity to learn and also to find how distinct Tempe Works is compared to those programs. And then with us this afternoon is our Deputy Community Services Director, Craig Hayden. And Craig, as one of the many partners, will be speaking specifically about the success that we have found within the program, both in regards to numbers of individuals served, and also speak to some specific case studies as far as individuals and their stories and the success that they have had. And we'll talk about that in the participant experiences component, and then also talk about what's next with program advancement. We'd also like to recognize that with Craig and me this afternoon is Kelly Denman, who is our lead homeless solutions outreach specialist, who is also very involved in this program, and she's also available to answer questions that may come forward. Next slide, please. So this specific initiative, this specific program directly impacts Council Priority 3.28, which is to achieve an end to homelessness in Tempe as measured by Tempe's annual count. And more directly, what that means for us is our intention that when we're addressing homelessness and helping us individuals and families who are experiencing homelessness, that we want that experience to be rare, meaning that we want the numbers of folks that go into homelessness or in homelessness to go down, as well as we want the actual incident to be brief. And so that those who do find themselves in homelessness, we want that to be a very brief time in space, and a very brief from when one becomes or experiences homelessness to when we assist them or they find a path into housing. And then one time, as it's our intention to provide supports and services, and we're going to talk about those in a few minutes, specific to this program, to assist individuals and families that as they move into a path of housing, that we provide the supports and services with them so they remain housed and don't relapse back into a space of living in our parks, in our streets, or in alleys, in our cars, or wherever that might be outside of a safe environment. Next slide, please. So to expand upon Vice Mayor Keating's introduction about Tempe Works, while it was started as a conversation earlier in 2017, and again, we're very grateful for that, the budget process in fiscal year 1920 helped advance this initiative further. Through Mayor and Council's approval, funding was found and established to support Tempe Works, in which this program is designed to serve individuals experiencing homelessness, again, by providing stable employment and a pathway to housing, and for the city of Tempe in a very unique way as compared to what's happening nationally. Next slide, please. We're going to speak more specifically on some of these bullets, but in general, as we continue to define Tempe Works, it is providing structural and social supports for individuals experiencing homelessness. When we're assisting folks moving into a position or a job, there is a need for many to help them with documentation, whether that's a driver's license, social security card, whatever that may be. And so there is a need from these social supports to assist those individuals to get that information, to assist them moving forward into a job. And so this, continuing to talk about assisting, this program assists individuals to join or rejoin the workforce. And also, you're going to continue to hear that it offers a continuum of care through various support mechanisms, whether that is in form of shelter, housing, direct support in navigation with documentation, as well as a job, job skills, and so forth. This program also strives to provide self-sufficiency in getting individuals into permanent housing, again, to reduce or eliminate a movement back into living in the streets or in the parks, and that there's an ability to provide supports in a way to help provide self-sufficiency with these individuals. Next slide. To do this, we have many partners. So again, with the support of Mayor and Council, with Vice Mayor Keating and Councilmember Aradona Savage and Councilmember Navarro to specifically move this initiative forward, the partners from a staff perspective that are utilizing their skills every day to support this program include representatives from the Community Services, City of Tempe Community Services, City of Tempe Human Services, specifically HOPE, our outreach folks, and Housing Services, Municipal Utilities, and also our partnership with Tempe Community Action Agency, specifically iHelp, which is a shelter program within the City of Tempe that partners with faith-based organizations throughout the community to provide a safe place for individuals to be on a nightly basis throughout our community. And then Corporate Job Bank, which is our connection for individuals into finding a means for employment. Next slide, please. So how does Tempe Works work? Tempe Works serves up to, and this is a typo and I apologize, serves up to 3 participants concurrently with placement in either municipal utilities or community services wage positions. And while we have the ability through the program's continued advancement, moving from original 2 positions to 3 positions, what that has done is allowed us to, over time throughout a year, bring more folks into the program over time. The second bullet is that participants are typically housed through TCA's iHelp program and typically case managed by HOPE. There will be some individuals that we identify that shelter may not be the option for them at any given point in time, and we find a way to work with them and support them in a way to eventually get into some form of shelter and or housing as they gain employment. But typically that's how the program works. And then third, participants receive minimum wage, assistance with transportation and equipment, and eventually assistance with housing. All of that has some funding through the city, whether that's through direct general fund dollars or through federal dollars and through our housing program to help support this initiative. Next slide, please. Participants work 30 to 40 hours per week, fulfilling manual labor roles such as maintaining compost piles or serving as a vehicle wash bay attendant. And as participants progress, other housing options are explored that may include City of Tempe Human Services Department's housing services programs. And so this is where there is a direct connection as an individual is connected with us and the services are provided and assistance is given. Individuals typically will flow into the shelter option, such as I stated with iHelp. And from there, they continue to progress in learning the job skills necessary to do the job function. And as they progress in the job and the job function, over time, we are continually looking through, whether it's through HOPE and our outreach folks or housing services, to make connections to appropriate housing options for them towards, again, some form of permanent housing, as well as the ability to move into or apply for other permanent positions within the city. And we can talk about that in a little bit. Next slide, please. So this is unique. It's unique to the City of Tempe and it's special to the City of Tempe. Overall, it's intended to focus on individuals and provide supports and services to them throughout the whole continuum of being living in a park or living in an alley, to shelter, to having a job in which they could go to on a consistent basis, moving into housing and continued supports to help them into self-sufficiency on an individual basis. And so what we did as we were looking at this and getting guidance from Mayor and Council with their ideas and supports of how a program for the City of Tempe should look, We also looked at national perspectives of day labor programs. And so this is a little dated, but last year this analysis was done, but it was looking at what other programs are out there. So Austin, Texas, Seattle, Washington, Denver, Colorado, Albuquerque, and you can read the list. But we went through and did a full analysis of these other programs to see what they were doing and what we could learn from them. And so we'd like to share a little bit about that because, again, what is being done here in Tempe is very unique as compared to what these national programs elsewhere are doing. So what are those key differences? Typically, when we're looking at day labor programs across the nation, is that there's a difference in the management of the programs as far as who's actually providing the day-to-day oversight and support, the logistics in regards to how individuals find employment, and what that employment looks like, the duration of the employment, the type of employment, as well as supports through the shelter and the housing, and then also the measures of performance, what is seen as success. So upon the review of these other programs, all but one of those programs is managed by a nonprofit organization. And so the city of Tempe is different in that, in which this program is actually being, the day-to-day oversight is being provided through 3 different main departments, that being community services, that being municipal utilities, and also human services. The comparison programs, they emphasize offering a higher number of work opportunities in the form of day labor. And what that typically means is that upon review of those organizations, some of them literally purchased buses, and they drove those buses throughout their communities, identifying areas of places where folks who are experiencing homelessness typically were, invited them to participate in the day labor program. They would get on the bus would drive them to the location for work. They would go through the appropriate processes for the labor and the hiring and so forth, and then they would return them back to the location in which they started in the morning. That's one way. Other organizations found that was a little bit labor intensive overall, and therefore has a designated area in the city for individuals to show up, and on a daily basis they would show up, and then they would be driven to locations for work in high volume. And so typically in this analysis, there was high volume of individuals being served, but also limits to the number of days an individual could work, and a limit to the number of opportunities provided. Next slide, please. Case management, such as the case management is found here in the city of Tempe, housing services, such as being offered here within the city of Tempe, and other social services within these other programs were not mandatory. They were offered and there were opportunities for folks to participate in, but the intention was to get folks into an ability to have some form of employment opportunity and access to these forms, whereas in the city of Tempe, it's a specific part of the program as mentioned. And in brief, Tempe Works is serving individuals experiencing homelessness in a substantively different manner than the reviewed day programs, and it's showing success while employing and housing and participants. And part of this is an understanding that if you were to look at the numbers of individuals served, the city of Tempe, you would see the number being less than these other programs. But again, it's a total different methodology and purpose that we're heading to. Next slide, please. And then Craig's here with us today because one, he's a major player or participant, or not participant, partner in this initiative, and is able to speak about some of the specific success. So Craig.
Great. Thank you, Paul, and good afternoon, everybody. So what does success look like from an employment perspective? We see a great opportunity within community services, not just to be an entry within the Tempe Works program with a solid waste team, but also as we recognize we've had over 30 people come through the program. Some have moved on to successful employment outside of Tempe, and this is an opportunity for us to celebrate that. But also we provided within community services and parks and recreation an opportunity, knowing that we need help from a contract employee perspective. We have provided a pipeline for graduates to come and join our team. We have had multiple employees who have graduated the program. We have 2 current employees, current contract employees through the Tempe Works program as graduates that are currently employed within our Parks and Recreation team. And it has been something that we have seen as a great success to really meet a need that we have, and also to continue to build some of those skills. So if we can move on to the next slide, I'd love to just highlight one of those success stories. In particular, we've had a gentleman join our team as one of the early graduates from the Tempe Works program. This person came in, had a driver's license, was able to take on a route, build up some skill set, but then also progress onto different tasks and really not just build up a skill set, but build up a skill set that would potentially make that person meet some minimum qualifications for a position within the city, within our group, if that person so desired to actually put in for one of those positions. So we see this success at multiple levels, not just for the employee who has an opportunity to build up that skill set, but also for us as we're able to continually pour into this employee and then reap the benefits from this as well. And something that we have seen, this employee specifically that I'm talking about has really become a go-to person within the work that and the team that they're within, and has really provided a much needed, really skilled support for our teams, and been a trades helper, something that has been built up, but also can fill some of those lower skilled along with other team members when there is that need. So we've seen great diversity from this team member, but also the willingness to take a shot and also learn some additional skill set and be out in the field with us. So we have really celebrated the opportunity to partner with Paul and the team through this Tempe Works program, but also we have been somebody that has benefited as a department through it, and we look forward to more of those stories moving forward. So that is just one of those that we'd love to just celebrate the fact that we have multiple team members with us currently. So I'll turn it back over to Paul for the next slide.
And before talking about program advancement, I also would like to recognize two of the individuals. There have been many, but two individuals that have had the opportunity to move on in their careers, but were pivotal, were foundational in assisting in creation of this program as well as moving it forward. And that would be Kim Vandenwiggen, who at one point in time was our Homeless Solutions Supervisor. She's now a member of Tempe Community Council. And then also Nikki Stevens, who most recently was also our Homeless Solutions Supervisor, helped advance this program even further, and has recently received an opportunity to work with MAG in a director position. And so just need to recognize the fact that they and Kelly and her team have been instrumental in getting this program to where it is, and giving me an opportunity just to speak on their behalf today. So program advancement, what are we looking to do? To be open and transparent as we always are, COVID has had an impact in regards to our abilities to continue to move this program over this last year. And the realities of ensuring that everyone was safe, that everyone was having the ability to come to work or work remotely or whatever that may have been. But due to COVID over 2020, there was an impact on the number of individuals served, and we recognize that. We know now with the advancements that we've had in regards to safety, vaccinations, and other things that are being put in place to make the workplace even safer, that we should be moving forward at a higher rate of individuals coming into programs and being served. Currently, we have, of those 3 positions, 1 person is currently in one of those positions, and 2 of those positions we are actively, we have 2 individuals identified and are going through the background and process in order to fill those vacancies as of right now. So again, positive movement within the program. Another piece that's being added is one of the recommendations to move this program forward was assisting individuals who are in the program and experiencing homelessness and working with us to provide some form of job readiness opportunities and programming and education. And so Human Services has partnered with Maricopa County. We have an individual specifically to support individuals with work readiness. Carter Ellis is his name. He works remotely currently, but we are again making advancements and making connections. But having him and some specific programming available to participants to assist them is in the works and ready to go. And so that's another advancement that's happening now. The other piece is that in the current budget process for the city of Tempe, fiscal year 21-22, there is a supplemental currently under review. We're about, 3/4. Vice Mayor and Council Member, you probably know more as far as how that feels through the budget process. But I think we're at least 3/4 of the way through that system. And one of the supplementals that is under review is to add some direct financing to fund 3 existing temporary full-time positions forward in a way that stabilizes them to ensure that they're there. In addition to that, there is an ask to fund 1 temporary part-time program coordinator. We all believe in this program and what it does and how it assists those that are experiencing homelessness and also the betterment of them and the community. And we have vetted through all the partners the need to have a program coordinator assigned specific to this program to ensure day-to-day updates are being done, that connections with partners are being made in a way that's efficient and effective. And we think we will get greater advancements even with that position added. And so that supplemental is currently in play for review. And so with that, we are available to any questions that may be available to us to answer.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I really appreciate, all the information that you shared. And I just have a couple of things I'd like to discuss. And I know that we're bringing in a program coordinator, which I think is great because obviously, it's a complicated program, as you pointed out. And we certainly want somebody to be there that's thinking about this every day and kind of quarterbacking it from, a place of total ownership. So I'm very pleased with that. One thing I would like is, sorry, I know I'm fighting a cold. I'm vaccinated, so it's all good. I have a cold, so sorry, I'm coughing and a little raspy here. One of the things that we had previously discussed that I don't think has been done yet, and I think it should be done before the coordinator comes on board. A lot of the things that we previously discussed, we can wait for the coordinator, but in particular with the data around this program, such as I know we've referred people to other jobs that aren't in the city of Tempe that have come in and say, you know what, there's better opportunity. Because we send people to our corporate partner, corporate job bank, and they may have different opportunities for them that they're better suited. I'd like to make sure those individuals are not necessarily tracked. I mean, if we're still providing services and things, then yes, tracked, but I would like to count those as people that this program has touched and benefited, because even if they don't go through the program proper, it's still city time resources that are going to steering them into that position. So I think that's something we can hold up as a positive thing that this program is doing. So I'd really like to see that happen. Another is, and I can send you some contact information. I've been speaking with a couple local union representatives, and there's availability for apprenticeship programs and things like that through our local unions. So I think, we could bring them in as a stakeholder as well. And, if there's more opportunities as we find people that may be, like, the only word I can think of is overqualified for the program, that we could send into apprenticeship program or something like that. That's another way we can chalk up, a green check mark for this program and still, provide value to not only our city, but that individual and the whatever organization that individual happens to be apprenticing with. So that kind of thing can wait for the coordinator. But I do want to make sure the coordinator has the data of, these are the people that came to Tempe. These are the people that went to corporate job bank, so that they're thinking about that when they're doing the job too. It doesn't necessarily have to be through the city. There's plenty of other opportunities around the city that aren't necessarily city jobs that we can steer some of these individuals towards. That's all I have. That great presentation. Councilmember Readiness Savage, do you have anything?
You know what? No, you covered it. I totally agree. I think it's great to be able to stay connected with those individuals that we've touched one way or the other. So I really support that. I think that's a good idea. The one question I had, was, Paul, I know we talked a lot about individuals going through the Tempe Works program, and I apologize if I missed it within the solid waste assignment. Has there been any other identified employment opportunities within the city outside of that? Or is that something that we're waiting for the coordinator to coordinate?
I'll start with my response. To my understanding right now, we're currently looking at those three positions, but Craig, you might have an understanding of something beyond that. If not.
Yeah, we're one of the three. So between solid waste and parks and recreation, we have two different avenues based on, the opportunities available, and then a diversity of opportunities for the employee and their interests to be able to be partnered with the right spot.
Yeah, I think the other thing to include in that is that we are applying an equity lens to this, and realize that there are some positions that we need to look at more clearly as far as, based on gender or physicality or whatever that might be, and apply that to this lens as well here. And we will be doing that.
Yeah, and maybe that's something as we move forward with the coordinator too, Paul, my thought would be it's just kind of like the BEST program. I mean, we really need to ensure that we're getting support from all of our departments and that they're aware of it and they understand it. And, it becomes something that other departments, other individuals, want to be a part of too. So whatever that looks like, I think that we could kind of shine a light on that a little bit moving forward. Other than that, I'm good, Vice Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. All right, let's see. Our next item under section 4 is prevailing wage. This is an issue that was brought up as a working group with Councilmember Navarro and former Mayor Mitchell and myself over a year ago now. And the topic got delayed due to COVID. And then we moved to our committee systems, and it took a while to get those up and running. But it's definitely something that I want to work on. You know, it's in light of my values. I know several other council members have committed to working on this as well. So I've asked our city attorney and engineering staff to provide us with a presentation around this idea.
Hi, thank you, Vice Mayor Keating and Councilmember Arredondo Savage. We appreciate your time. We will briefly provide information for you today as the committee is considering the prevailing wage options in Tempe. Just a brief overview on state law and what some other jurisdictions are considering. So the first I wanted to point out was one of a couple state laws that has bearing on this topic. One in Title 23 basically is titled the Minimum Wage Act. It is a voter protected law that authorizes cities to impose a minimum wage within their geographic boundaries, so long as it does not go under the state minimum wage. Next slide, please. Thank you. The other state law that has direct bearing on wages paid for city construction contracts is a prohibition on cities requiring by regulation, ordinance, or in any other manner, a contract to contain basically a minimum wage. This one exception has to do with the federal law that allows or requires, in certain instances, workers on public works projects to be paid a prevailing wage. And certainly the city of Tempe adheres to that. You will see that the court in Arizona has not yet addressed prevailing wage in government-funded construction contracts. So at this point, we do not necessarily know if these statutes could be read as conflicting or if they may be read in harmony with one another. So that's kind of the dilemma, and I wanted to just point that out to both of you. The next slide, please. The cities of Tucson and Phoenix have been reviewing this issue, and to our knowledge, they have not yet enacted any ordinances or resolutions, but I know an initiative was filed earlier this year in Tucson with respect to prevailing wage. So it's certainly a topic of interest in Arizona. One of the other things that we found was the National League of Cities is also working on prevailing wage in various jurisdictions. They have circulated some draft ordinances and resolutions enacted by Austin, Texas. Texas does not have laws similar to the ones that I pointed out to you that govern what political subdivisions can do in Arizona. However, one of interest requires workers on city construction projects to be paid no less than the prevailing wages established by the U.S. Department of Labor. And it would require no less than the city's minimum wage for their own employees to be paid on city projects. The second one has to do with public works contracts of $1 million or more, which is pretty much encompasses the vast majority of those. And in that, Austin is requiring that basically the contractors and subcontractors comply with the standards and principles of the Better Builder program. They have also suggested a couple of resolutions in which they task city management to create a workforce pipeline to ensure training and apprenticeships are offered and to ensure that a certain percentage of workers are enrolled in the bilingual program that's put out through the Department of Labor. So with that, I'll go ahead, next slide, please, and turn that over to Marilyn DeRosa, our Director of Engineering and Transportation. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. Hi, I'm Marilyn DeRosa, the Director of Engineering and Transportation. This, as Vice Mayor Keating mentioned, this is a topic that came up in a working group discussion a couple of years ago. And at that time, our procurement manager, engineering services manager, Wendy Springborn, had reached out to some of the stakeholders. And I'd like Wendy, if Wendy's on the line, if Wendy has a chance to just briefly let us know what kind of feedback she got at that time.
There we go. Just making sure I'm clicking the right buttons. Great. Good afternoon, Vice Mayor Keating and Councilmember Dondo Savage. The initial outreach that I was able to get a hold of was the Arizona General Contractors Association, as well as the Arizona Builders Alliance. And they had concerns with respect to prevailing wages and apprenticeships, in the sense that they said that overwhelmingly right now, the majority of employees are paid at above the prevailing wage for the area. But that also with respect to apprenticeship programs, that many of them had their own internal programs that they followed, both kind of on-the-job training as well as formal programs, working with some of the community colleges, as well as some of the tech schools. So it wasn't necessarily a state-sanctioned program, but being able to show that they already have got skilled labor that they work with. So that was kind of some of the I guess, highlights of what I was able to find out from the stakeholders.
Thanks. Alex, can you go to the next slide? So we talked about this, about, you know, what is prevailing wage? What is it linked to with respect to workers' rights and with respect to workforce development? And as Judy mentioned, some other communities, and prompted, I believe, by the research done by the National League of Cities, have focused not on just prevailing wage, but kind of a package of workers' rights that has to do with training and safety and breaks. There's also then workforce development, which is a slightly different issue, but the workers' rights package, if you will, included on-the-job training, apprenticeships. And when some folks in our staff reached out, actually it was Maria Loeffner with Economic Development, reached out to some of our local contractors. Some of them offer apprenticeships and on-the-job training, and they've formalized it. And others do it more informally. So there's an opportunity for us to talk more about how we might incorporate that, whether a contractor has a program like that that's formalized, how that might lend itself to more favorable points in our scoring for contracting with the city. So there are ways, I suppose, that we could work to encourage local contractors to support those programs. And then in addition, as you know, Councilmember Arredondo Savage, you're working on a task force nationally about the White House's initiative for Build Back Better and their American Jobs Plan. There are some workforce development strategies in that Build Back Better program that we could look more closely at the city, and how we might be able to collaborate with contractors or work with the county and community colleges and the federal government for some of the funding that might become available for that workforce development. But I don't want to conflate workforce development with prevailing wage. So I won't talk about the American Jobs Plan, but there are some federal programs and some opportunities that we could launch off of. Could you go to the next slide? Yeah, training and apprenticeship programs. So apprenticeship programs, as you know, are formal, but the city, as you just heard from the Tempe Works program, the city could engage even more vigorously in training and not necessarily apprenticeship programs, those are formal, but training, and in my case, it would be in infrastructure, right, in the construction trades, which are woefully understaffed at this point. and that it's very difficult finding skilled workers. That's part of the reason wages at this point, the industry will report that the wages are keeping pace for the most part with the prevailing wage because of shortage of workers. That won't necessarily always be the case though. So I guess with that, we will, that's our information, the legal angle, and then kind of the programmatic angle. And then Vice Mayor Keating and Councilmember Arredondo Savage, we'll turn it back to you for some kind of direction. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Judy and Marilyn, for that information. Judy, I'm certainly glad you said it was confusing, because I totally agree. I must have read those two slides 50 times each and still wasn't quite sure what exactly it was saying to me. So I certainly agree that it is confusing. I'm glad to hear that it's open for interpretation though. Ultimately my end goal out of this would be, and I know it's already, as Marilyn pointed out, where the wages are already higher than prevailing wage in the city of Tempe, but that may not be the case forever, depending on how the workforce and economy situations play out. I would certainly like to, either through resolution or internal city policy, kind of codify that, for city funded projects, this is what we expect. And, I think it's a reflection of the city's deeper values. And I think it's something that, we could absolutely do. And especially if there's some ambiguity around the law, I'm not ever for challenging the legislature. That's not a fight we're ever going to win. But if there's a situation where we're not sure we can do it, I think it's certainly worth a try. So my direction, and I know my colleague will have some comments too, my direction would be to engage with stakeholders, both for and against, on this, and come back with something that we can bring to the council if it is indeed determined to be legal. And there will be, opinions on both sides of that, I know. But let's come up with something, whether it's an ordinance or a policy, around city-funded construction projects that kind of codifies this in the city of Tempe. Yeah, I think that's pretty much my only thoughts on it. I really appreciate you guys looking into this for us. And I'll turn it over to Councilmember Arredondo Savage for her comments.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I certainly agree with the thought that we need to get some more stakeholder input. I think that my process moving forward is probably completely different than yours, and that's okay. I think it's okay to agree to disagree every once in a while. I mean, I want to make sure that whatever we do moving forward, it has a really strong tie to Tempe workforce. And I'm not really sure by just implementing a policy that really encourages a tie to our own workforce development and the things that we're doing. When we talk about apprenticeship programs or on-the-job training or working with our community colleges or EVIT, whatever it may be, that's where I want to leverage. That's what I would like to see us really support and encourage and utilize the programs that we already have great partnerships with. So certainly hearing from them and what that might look like, and encouraging that education piece, and encouraging, I think, any type of business to do on-the-job training or some type of a training, or have a partnership with EVIT. I think I did a tour of a couple of apprenticeship programs that were really great, but doesn't mean that they're for everybody either. And there is a lot of really good companies. I think Ryan Companies is one that has their own on-the-job training, and they do a phenomenal job. So to me, I think there's a lot that we need to research and really understand what that means to our businesses, not just the large businesses, but our small businesses that do business with us. Because being a small business owner in this community, when you start mandating and things on those businesses, there's an impact. And I think before we move forward and before I jump on board with any of that, I think I'd like to hear from the stakeholders what that looks like. There's obviously a reason other cities haven't jumped on board to do this, and legally just because it's left to interpretation, I don't know if that's where our best use of time is spent. I certainly think that we can focus on Achieve 65. That's kind of something that we've all agreed to. That's something that we've been working on and really trying to promote and encourage, and ensuring people either have a certification or an associate's degree or a college degree to make sure that we do have that skilled workforce. That's what it's all about. So for me, I really want to see the tie between our Tempeans, what's good for our community, not just a broad policy without really making those connections. So as we move forward and get that information, you know, Vice Mayor, that'd be something that I would really like to see us just explore a little bit more. And I appreciate, Wendy, I just want to say thank you. I know this was work that it was probably over a year ago that you did. And I know now people may be saying different things. So it would be really great to hear from, you know, the Arizona Contractors Association, the Builders Alliance, and also, you know, through procurement too, because I know they've been doing a lot of things with local businesses to make sure that they are aware of how to do business in the city of Tempe and what that might mean to them. So yeah, I just feel like I need a little bit more information before I jump in with 2 feet on anything. I like Marilyn has helped me really prepare for a lot of the things that I've been doing federally with the National League of Cities. And as we look at our infrastructure plan moving forward and possible funding, federal funding, you know, workforce readiness is going to be a big, big key to that. And you know, that's where our perspective has really been, making sure that we have that skilled workforce, a re-skilled workforce, whatever it may be, so we don't have a shortage of jobs, that our residents are our priority. They are my priority. And I just want to make sure that when we talk about workforce and any type of a prevailing wage, that it impacts our residents. And I want to make sure that we move forward with ensuring there's some type of tie to that. So I look forward to getting some more information, understanding what's happening at the national level, what Austin is doing. I think that'll be really great. And also I'd like to hear from, you know, Phoenix and Flag and whoever's thought about it and not do it, what their thoughts were as to why they haven't moved forward. I think that would be helpful in our discussion. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Reynaldo Savage, for your comments. I do appreciate your comments around making sure, you know, it's Tempe centric and utilizing our community colleges for greater training and apprenticeship opportunities. I certainly want to do that as well. So I do want to point out that it would only be quote mandated for businesses that are, you know, applying for city contracts. So I just want to point that out. It's not going to be a broad brush type thing, but I certainly understand your concern. So maybe the direction is we send staff to go have those stakeholder conversations, talk to, you know, let's figure out the legality of it. Let's get some smart people in a room and try to see like what exactly cannot do. Talk to businesses, talk to stakeholders that want to see it, that don't want to see it, and have staff come back and kind of present a broader, more detailed scope of the proposal and with a menu of options moving forward for possible action on this issue.
That sounds good, Vice Mayor. We will do that. Sorry, Marilyn.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Judy. I was going to say we'll get back together, and I'm assuming that that Vice Mayor, you mentioned a menu of options. So I'm assuming that to be clear, we will look at other worker rights issues as suggested by the NLC, and talk to our stakeholders and neighboring communities.
Yes, that's correct. And by menu, I sort of mean like, and this would be maybe there's a legal, and I don't know this, maybe there's a legal difference between ordinance and internal policy.
Mm-hmm.
So that, you know, I mean, obviously I want to see this done. So I'm looking for a way to do it and one, responsibly, two, that won't get us challenged. Again, we're not going to win a fight with the legislature, so I'd rather not have one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
and of course, yes, the other worker rights things that you've discussed, that would be great to look at too, because I mean, it's obviously an important issue for workforce readiness.
It's fair. I just want to make sure when we talk about a menu that they don't feel obligated to have to bring back a policy, though they could. I just want to make sure that we're leaving it open. If there are some concerns and issues that are floating around, I want to make sure that we have them all on the table, and that we are going forward with our eyes wide open and really understanding what the challenges, you know, could be for us moving forward. So, you know, like I said, for me, it's not necessarily having a policy per se, but really looking at how we can support our community, our residents, keeping it Tempe first, and what that looks like. So however we can incorporate that in some of those discussions or thoughts of, you know, education support, or like Marilyn mentioned, you know, maybe even utilizing, I don't know, what did you say, Marilyn? Like weighted points or something like that for having partnerships.
Yes,
Partnerships with some of our partners. So anyway, food for thought. I'm very open to that. Thank you.
No, I think that's fine. I think some of the issues you brought up will come out in the stakeholder process as we kind of dig deeper on this.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, then we will get with with Tim and with Alex and make sure we're headed in the right direction. We'll get this back on your an upcoming agenda.
Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks.
Look at that, Vice Mayor. Did we get through it?
We did. We did. In
Right.
just over an hour. Look at that. If only our council meeting ran so smoothly.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Maybe you should start running the council meetings. Oh wait, don't tell the mayor.
Oh no! Wow, I'm gonna tell Corey you said that.
He might be listening. He might be listening for all I know.
So we do have an announcement here. Do you want to announce the roundtable?
No, well,
Okay,
sure.
I have it up.
Go ahead, get it. Oh, right
Okay,
there.
Councilmember Readiness Savage and I are hosting a Randy's and Robin's Roundtable community meetup this Wednesday, April 28th at noon on Facebook Live. Please join us if you're able. We're going to discuss all the great things you can do outside in Tempe right now while the weather is beautiful. And you have the opportunity to ask us any questions you have related to Tempe. Please visit facebook.com/City of Tempe for the virtual event. Councilmember, do you have any other announcements?
Nope, that's it. Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Looking forward to our
Thank
next
you.
meeting, which will be Monday, May 24th. And hopefully we'll have the agenda out in the next couple of weeks so we can encourage more people to comment or stop in and listen to our council meeting or our committee meeting, I should say.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we are adjourned.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.